focuses mostly on just letting the screen rest over the area that we're going to look at. That should help, but those of you who are just seeing this start on the archives, don't worry. You don't need to worry about anything I'm saying. The good news is everybody should be able to watch today because my bitrate is really low. So that there is that benefit at least. Anyway, this is game 1 between VyperX and Omee, Ultra Team Stronghold. This is their second show match, I believe. I want to say, or is it third? No, it's the third one. Oh, they technically have the right to a best of 5 then. I'll have to ask them about that. But they didn't bring it. You know what? We've already selected the maps and everything, so we'll just go. If they want to play again, I'll let them do a best of 5. Whoops. It happens. What can you say? Everybody forgot. They forgot. I forgot. Viewers forgot. Anyway, hopefully we'll get into the game in just a moment here. Waiting for everything to load up. Getting the spinny circle of death. Oh, good, it went away. Sometimes that pops up and then the game crashes. So I always get a little bit nervous whenever I see it. Alright. So, ZRQ, Eric, feel free to let anybody know that you think would be interested in watching, and let's get the show started. In the top left of the map here on Ultra Team Stronghold, we have sporting the light pink colors. It is the Zerg player, DJ Clan's Omee. This is one of the many Day 9 community clans, Dayhum being another one, and Day Night Ladder Clan being another, that are sometimes featured on the show matches. And in the bottom left of the map we have, pointing out that I went completely offline in Skype, it is Viper's VyperX. Or I guess Viper's X, depending on how you read that. I'm not going to type anything. They can discuss it all they like. I am totally here watching, though. I'm being told that I can't live without them. Well, in any case, let's go ahead and focus on the game for a moment here. Nothing particularly crazy just happening yet. Usually, if there's any kind of cheese coming out from either player, we'll have seen it by now, either an early pool, we'll see a drone leaving to run to scout the base and throw down the early hatchery, and we would see an SCV leaving early for a proxied barracks. None of that's going on, so if there is something like that planned, it's going to be a slightly safer variety of that, maybe like a one-base roach all-in or a barracks timing, but not the crazy over-the-top stuff that sometimes comes out. And let's see here. So Omee's basically telling his opponent, be quiet. Scout, get ready. He's throwing down his natural out in the more exposed location so he can take his third in the pocket expansion here. And I actually understand that a lot. I think that's actually a neat move, just because, like, if you can secure this location, even though it does make, even though it is a little bit more vulnerable, it'll make getting into the mid and late games a lot easier if you can get that third without having it interrupted. But this does make him a little bit vulnerable to aggressive pushes, just because connecting the creep from here to here is a little bit awkward. The thing is, though, as you can see, VyperX going for a more economic style of play. This is not something we normally see out of him. Usually he's more the one-base player. It's nice to see him throwing something in that's a little bit different. I mean, as they say, for the aggressive, cheesy players, the most aggressive and cheesy thing they can do is to not be aggressive. Of course, in this case, it's not quite that, just because he's actually done this before, and it's not exactly going to be a surprise this time. Now, I'm trying to think about if there's any other factors of this map that could come into play. I mean, the overall largeness of it means that the defender's advantage is a little bit stronger than usual. This map is a little bit harder to reinforce attacks on. But at the same time, it's also a map where drops are very effective because of this space right here. This space that you see in between these three bases can be abused very heavily. You can drop here, do some damage, kill a couple things, move, drop here, do some damage, kill a couple things. And if your opponent does not have the right units, he'll be running around this space constantly. So SCV's made it here. He's checked to originally check if there was a natural. Now, if we look at, I think this is Okay, here we go. VyperX's vision. Ah, he did not see that the natural was here. He needs to double check that, or he may accidentally read that his opponent is going for a one base attack when he is not. So I think that's what he's thinking right now, and he might actually lose the SCV without finding this. No, he actually should be in vision of the creep right there, and he does check, so he does see. All right. Does see also a lot of lings. I think he did catch sight of that for just a second there. He should be a little bit worried about that. Omee is somebody who reflexively favors a lot of lings. It's not necessarily something that he always wants to do, but it's just kind of like a habit that I've seen him fall into a lot. And interesting, he actually made that at the front for the wall off, and then he's going to float that all the way to the back. I guess that works out just fine. Takes a little bit longer to get that economy started, but it's cool. And pretty much just straight bio play from here. Tech lab coming up. We have an extra worker in gas right now. It's always a little bit awkward when you see that happen. It means that basically every minute that this is going on, he's losing about 100 minerals, and in addition to the 50 that he used to spend on the SCV in the first place. It may not matter all that much, all things considered. It's usually like if you have one guy not in gas, that tends to affect things a lot more than having one extra guy in gas. It's definitely better. Anyway, Zergling's gonna run to the front, pressure just for a second. See that there, there's a tight wall off there with Marines. He's not gonna be able to break into that. And back home, boom, Baneling Nest is actually going down. So Omee wants to get his aggression on and see if he can just tear down the front and do some damage. He doesn't necessarily have to kill VyperX with this, but if he can make it work, it'll give him a very, very solid lead going forward. And again, this is the style of play that he often favors, and being a faster, aggressive play is something that works out for him a lot from what I've heard. Now, the thing is, Omee did actually say during the interview that he has a little bit of a difficulty with the cheesier style of plays. That doesn't necessarily mean obviously we're not seeing that now, but if Omee does take this game, VyperX will probably use that as an indication that he should try something a little cheesy. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that say, for example, proxy barracks play is necessarily going to be the right choice. It could be the bunker play that he has difficulty with. We don't know that. I mean, I've seen him survive different levels of cheese, like in OBS games and stuff like that. So it's not necessarily guaranteed that just because a cheese is used that Omee is going to be weak against it. He's moved the lings back to the front. Baneling Nest is done now. And here we go. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Banelings. He's going to want to target this space here. If he can get either of these two structures down, he can keep most of his Banelings alive and use them on the army. He tries to go for the barracks. He's going to lose most of them, and it'll be pretty much just lings versus this in a tiny hole. So, of course, Omee's aware of all this. So he's going to probably run a ling up here to check the structure first, and then figure out where to go. See if anything's changed since he was up there. It's a lot of Banelings, though. It's 11 Banelings. It's a decent number for an attack like this. And right now, we have an engineering bay coming down at the back, 3 supply depots. Looks like he was, yeah, he's supply blocked pretty hard at the moment, VyperX, that is. Oh boy, here we go. Here comes the attack. And honestly, guys, I think this is going to work. This is one of those things where if you don't see it coming, it's pretty hard to hold off. So most of the Banelings survive. They run to the front. They actually go off mostly on the siege tank and the Marauders, though. So a lot of the Marines survive, and yeah, I don't think he's going to be able to clean that up. He's got a good position right there. Unfortunately, he still got surrounded anyway. He's pulling the SCVs to try and deal with this, and he needs to actually rebuild this wall off because any reinforcement lings that come down here are going to be able to get a lot done. And it looks like Omee's actually just not going to send... Okay, he just built them. There we go. Here come the extra lings. And he doesn't look like he's actually going to use those for an attack. I don't see them moving out across the map right now. Should expect that his opponent will be able to rebuild the wall. Now let's take a look at the kind of damage that actually did. 6 workers went down in that attack, as well as 26 army units. If we look at the supply right now, we can see that VyperX is only a little bit behind, but not very much. So Omee didn't get quite the advantage that he wanted. Now if he keeps these SCVs from actually working, that's going to definitely not be the case. And it looks like he's going to go for attack round number 2. A lot more Banelings coming on the back of this. He does have a siege tank position here, and actually can see this far, I think. No, it can't. He needs to actually run this SCV down here just to get vision of this. One siege tank on these Banelings, though, will actually make this a little bit harder. Yeah, okay. Now he knows. And most of the Banelings have actually been exterminated, which is going to push this attack back. For now, this body of lings is going to be here primarily to make it as difficult as possible to take this location for the third. Just kind of trap VyperX in his base with the additional damage that he did earlier, and probably tech up to something else in the back of this. So he's got +1/+1 getting started. And that looks like that's going to be his choice for the just to kind of push things into the late game here. Just drone up a bit, grab upgrades, and burrow. Ah, okay. If he gets burrow up, it does make it slightly harder to take an expansion. He can just put a Ling right here, block the command center when it tries to land, delay it by another 20 to 30 seconds. We'll see how much that comes into play. And it looks like VyperX is holding, is recovering pretty well here. He still has a couple awkward army position with his units here, but picking out the Overlord at the front. He's checking around with the medevac. Actually, just floating that medevac around the army like that might send the message to Omee that a drop is coming when no drop appears to be actually planned, which is actually great for him. It's going to make this attack go back home, and now he's free to take his natural. Natural third, whatever you want to call this, because it's kind of in the exact same position as a natural. But anyway, his third. Blah. +1 attacks coming out for the Terran player here. He's going to be a little bit behind in this for a while. Kind of the natural flow of this, especially if in a Muta Ling game versus Bio, is for the Muta Ling player to get up to 2-2 a little bit quicker than the Bio player, and then the Bio player will eventually catch up and then make it past that into 3-3 upgrades. 3 damage, 3 armor. It can put him in a very, very nice solid position. Of course, that's usually when being done along with Widow Mines for kind of the eternal constant push. In this case, it looks like VyperX is going to try and take a strong position with this army here, with these 3 siege tanks, and then try to run over the third. He doesn't necessarily need to kill Omee with this. Again, it's kind of similar to what Omee was doing earlier, but position is very nice here, and Omee happens to be supply blocked at the moment, so not to mention is the Ling's actually running out the front right there, actually picking up on the army without taking too much damage. He's trying to run forward into the 3 siege tanks, though. This isn't going to be able to do much here. There's only 2 banelings. He's not going to be able to help out too much with the bio. The banelings are going off against the siege tanks, and here comes some more baneling reinforcements. This is an incredibly risky play from Omee, just running those forward, and as you can see, they really did not efficiently trade at all there. Mostly went off against the siege tank and the Marauders. The other siege tanks are gone now, but there's nothing to really help out with this, and this base, if nothing else, is going to have a really hard time staying up. He's trying to run that back to make more banelings, and VyperX can easily pick up on this. His whole army is getting surrounded here, but he's actually more than strong enough to run down these Lings, and with that coming out, now he's going to move forward and try to snipe off as many of the banelings as possible. Looks like Omee's just going to not cancel them. Ouch. It's a decent hit there, and I think VyperX is actually in a really solid position to take this game now. He's done a lot of army damage to Omee. Omee's fallen down to 65 supply. He can scan this here easily, take out all of the workers that were here, or just simply move up into the base, and there isn't really going to be much to defend this area. He is making some more banelings, but it's going to be too little too late as the army stims and runs up the ramp into where the banelings are. Scans up at the top, sees the banelings, going to cancel those immediately, and yeah, there's a couple mutalisks coming out, but it's not going to be anything to this army, so well, there you go, guys. I think it's just a matter of time until we see GG. This is, yep. We gotta wait for Omee to come to terms with this. And the thing is, he is overstimming this army pretty hard, so if he was able to get some banelings up, but every single time he tries, it just, what is, go down here and kill the other queen. These drones are also burrowed, now he's gonna run them forward. The DPS is too good. I don't know what you want to say, guys. He's making some drones and running them out. Oh boy, this is I don't know what to make of this, guys. It looks like we're just basically going to watch as VyperX slowly executes Omee. Take our time with this. This is, if he does expand somewhere, this is pretty much the definition of zombie expanding. There is basically no way to come back in this situation unless VyperX basically starts killing his own stuff. Yes, this is game 1. Those of you asking in the chat. And yeah, there's the zombie expand right there from Omee. And in the meantime, it looks like VyperX actually hasn't expanded, so he's gonna end up with a bunch of SCVs that aren't able to work here. Obviously nowhere near as bad a position as Omee finds himself at the moment. He does have 4 mutalisks that it looks like he's just going to... No, okay, I was going to say, if he just leaves them on the army, I'd be a little bit surprised there. He found the proxy spire. Omee has no gas, though, so no more mutalisks coming out. Proxy spire's going to die, though. He's not going to be able to keep that. And there's the GG.